Do you hear Chuck out there? Chuck is jealous. Chuck is poking his head through the window there. Can you see him? Right there. He sees me loving up on Cinco. And he's all jealous. Cinco, don't run from me. Here he is, all jealous that he's not getting the loves. Chuck, are you... Or is it that you want the food? Are you telling me you want food, or are you telling me that you're jealous? I'm unsure. Let's find out what it is exactly that you want. Well, obviously you want some food, but I think you're jealous as well. You stepped stepped on a chicken. Come in the light over here so everyone can see how beautiful you really are. You're wasting more of it than you are eating. Why? Sir Chuck. So to let everybody know that Chuck has actually calmed down quite a bit since his mexadethaprogesterone. Woo! And the electric fence is working, obviously. You have to be careful about that, sir. You have to be careful. I know, I didn't do it to you. Don't blame me. Don't look at me. It's Jeff's fault. I'm not sure if it's a great idea to have Lester right up on the electric fence where Chuck is. He might start associating with a shock when it comes to Lester. Hey, bud. So the test results came back negative for tuberculosis, and then we're just waiting for the lab results for the trichinosis. And I'm not sure if that's the actual name of it, but there's a couple of tests that had to be done for him before he could go to Texas, including that ear tag that I put in. Hi, oh, hi. Hello. And once we know all that kind of information, we're going to try to arrange the trip to Texas around my wife's trip to Florida. Maybe she can fly in to Texas and I meet her there, or vice versa. I think he's still jealous. I think you're still looking over at Cinco. Do you miss your boyfriend? Do you miss your brother? Who's over here? All right, we'll see you in a little bit, okay? Ooh, okay, he's still a little playful, and I still would never get into his pen, even if he seems to have calmed down. I would never get into his pen anymore. I've learned my lesson. I think Chuck sees you over here, and he's jealous that you get the special treatment. Guys, it's not for you. It's for him. Get over here, Cinco. The one thing I've been working with Cinco is he won't eat out of my hand. I try and try and try. He will eat from a scooper, but he won't eat from my hand. As much as I may try, and maybe it's because there's some food aggression with the goats. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong and eat some. No, he's just gonna sit there with my fingers in his mouth. Go ahead, take some. Take some. The goats know better. They don't even get too close to him when he's eating anymore because he is, 700 pounds. Okay, go ahead. Okay, let's see if we can give Cinco hugs and kisses. We decided to leave him in the barn and not with the donkeys because donkeys can't have as much of the grains as he can have. He can have as much as he wants, but the donkeys can't. So when it comes time to feeding, there tends to be some issues. So if I slowly approach him, well, he's smart. Animals are very, very smart. And I could anticipate Chuck getting a little jealous again if he can see us snuggling inside of here. So I'm going to come over here to the corner and see what Chuck says. Hey, Chuck, can you see us in here? Cinco. All right, I'm going to attempt to give him a hug and kiss. Hi, buddy. You know I am your father, and I've saved you, and I don't want you running away. Hi, sir. Come here, buddy. You're okay. Let's give him scratches on his back. See if he stays still for that. He does. Look at that. Now, Chuck would never allow this. Chuck would never allow this. I really like the idea that I can get my hands on him and feel him. He doesn't eat out of hands, unfortunately.
He won't eat?
Not out of somebody's hand, he won't. You can try. I've tried.
You lost power, by the way.
Oh, I tripped a breaker? I will go fix that. Maybe. Maybe. We got to work on it with him. What is going on over here? Be nice. There you go. I guess it just takes another hand. So that's a volunteer, but been having problems with the breaker tripping inside the office, running the microwave and the heater and the lights at the same time, on top of Chuck's own Energizer. This breaker right here keeps going. So we're back in business for now, but who knows for how long. I can hear Chuck. Can you hear the low grumble? We have 8 sheep here. They were inherited when we bought this property, so they came with the property. We have a couple of turkeys. I hear you. We have lots of chickens and ducks, and of course, most of all, we have lots of goats. This is Thomas, Tom the turkey. He really likes to be on camera, and if I walk away from him this way, he will chase me. I tell everybody when they come here, if you're worried about Tom, all you need to do is approach him. I almost went down. All you need to do is approach him. So as I walk away, he sees it as a game. But when I approach him, he runs away. Then I can just grab his tail and lift him up. And then you can see his snood and his beard and his beautiful feathers and his pretty beak and all of his amazing colors. All right, sir. He's the only Tom we have on the farm. We have naughty goats that like to climb up into the feeder. They jump up there and they don't come out. This is Frosty. Say hi, Frosty. He was a bottle baby. He basically runs the joint right now. And over here is our pig pasture. Eventually, I want to turn this pig pasture into a kitty goat pasture. I'd like to build Goat Mountain out there with maybe some sort of roofing structure. Hello, Maisie May. How are you? And allow the goats to go through the fence with small openings. So only the baby goats could come out of the barn, head on over to this area, and play on the playground. We do have a couple of spools on this side, but I have to keep this area clean. Hey, I have to keep that other area clean of spools and debris because I frequently use the loader to clear all of this out and make a compost pile over there. Hello. So putting an entire playground right here in the ACA is what they call it, animal concentrated area, is not something I want to do. So I'd rather do that over here. And then of course we have more pasture spaces back there, which we consider rotational pasture. So in the spring and summer, we'll close down a pasture, allow them to graze one, and then we'll close down another pasture, open up another one, and they just kind of rotate. Helps keeps the parasites down, but it's nearly impossible to get rid of them. It's really important over time to try to build a herd immunity, and that is done honestly by allowing them to get some sort of parasite, but only treating the ones that are showing symptoms. Obviously, I would never let an animal suffer. So if we notice low FAMACHAs, low body scores, diarrhea, hunchbacks, anything like that, we go through and medicate and make sure everybody is healthy. But their offspring over time can pass down to herd immunity, which will help the overall health of the goats over time. I always walk around and look at butts. Look at their butts. We want to try to get the most ideal type of poop, and that would be this right here. Little round nuggets. That one's kind of formed together, but see that? That is still perfectly acceptable. That's an acorn poop. Acorn poops are all right. The sheep rarely go in the barn. At night they go into sleep, but they usually spend a lot of time out at pasture, which is completely fine. There's still stuff for them to eat on. And over here, Fireman, we obviously had to kick Fireman out of his spot because Chuck took it over. So Fireman is in pasture, living his best life right now. Missing his girls, but living his best life. He's utilizing the small trailer as a windbreak and shelter. He's got his hay here and he's got his water here, which is smoking. We do have some straw and hay in there. Not too bad. It is nippy out here. And this is the back side of the billy goat pasture. Billy goats can come out that window. I made a windbreak, a temporary windbreak. It's not something I want to keep there forever. And they can exit that and they can head all the way down past those trees and along the back side of the rotational grazing. So they're separate from the rest of the herd. So in the spring and summertime, I have this temporary hot wire fence. Now it's hard to see right now, but I'm going to show you something a little bit clearer. I like to let the goats out here. And that is simply opening the gate up there and allowing them to come back. Here it is. It's a simple 3-wire electric fence. And because they respect the shock, they stay away. And I can actually step right on over. We can enjoy our swim time in the summertime. We can have our barbecues and family time. And all the goats can be right up to us, but they don't jump it. But if we decide we want to go in there, that works out perfectly fine. The plan is to eventually replace this temporary fence right here with hard fencing. It's always fun to experiment with how you want it before you set it in stone, because I didn't realize we wanted this little picnic table area right there. I had the fencing going on that side of it before. Well, that's bad news when you're having a picnic and there's goat turds all over the table. So the goats had access to all of this, and they will again, but not right now. That's the scary part about letting them out here. It's called meningeal worm. The deer carry it. And when they poop, now I'm going to show you what we have going on here. There is a creek. It's called Antietam Creek. And it flows right through our property. It divides our property in half exactly. Well, not exactly. It puts about 20 acres on the other side of the creek here. Unfortunately, there is no accessible road unless you have 4-wheel drive or a tractor to get back there. This right here, from the creek all the way to that field, all the way to the end of the property that way and that way, there is 9 acres of wetlands. What is in wetlands, you ask? Well, there's lots of snails and there's lots of slugs, and they are the main carrier for the meningeal worm. So when the goats come back here and hang out and eat, and the carrier of the meningeal worm is all over the forage that they want to eat, they become susceptible from getting it. It's not a guarantee they're going to get the meningeal worm, but it's very possible that they can get it. And I've had 3 cases of it on my farm. In my first case, having the meningeal worm, I wasn't able to save that goat. And in the other 2 cases, I've actually done very well in saving them, because now I know the symptoms and what to look for. I do get the goats to come out here only when they follow me. Now my son likes to come back here, of course, because it's like any kid's paradise, right? It's so quiet back here. So we're gonna go for a little walk. Let's find out if this is frozen. I would assume it would be. It's been very cold. So what you're looking at is not a creek, not a pond. This is just oozing water from the wetlands, just oozing out, and builds up right here. This is what makes it so difficult to get to the back fields. And I would love for them to be here, but first off, I'm scared with the meningeal worm, and second off, I have to come up with a solution And my solution is to let one of the livestock guardian dogs roam this lands. And if there's a dog around who's going to bark and scare them away, that's the perfect solution. I don't obviously have major predators around here. If you look down at the tracks, there seems to be birds. And there does seem to be some sort of fox prints right here. Fox guys are not too dangerous for... Oh, and that is a giant deer hoof. That is a big old deer hoof right there, heading that direction. So I'm not worried so much about the predators. Foxes aren't dangerous to my goats unless they're newborns. They're more dangerous to the chickens. I'm actually worried about the deer. It's in some shape or form a type of predator, I suppose, that will take out my game. My son has been hunting on this land for the last couple months, and he's been unsuccessful. He hasn't found anything. Let's go look and see what other types of prints we can find on the land. The property is posted to stay off, and violators will be prosecuted. Now, being here for almost a year and not being able to utilize this field for grazing is breaking my heart. I really, really, really want to get the guys out here. But let's take a look at the tracks. They seem to just head on out to the woods. So obviously any animals that live... Now I only have up to the top of that hill, but beyond that are many, many, many more acres. Anything that needs to drink has to get to the creek. Deer drink. And if Apollo had some amazing structure out here that he could live in, now you can hear the dogs from here. And just that barking from this distance doesn't scare the deer away. As you can see, there are still prints everywhere for the deer. Right here, right here. Now this is a buck. Do you know how I know this is a buck? Because you can see the hooves and you can see the dew claws right here. Take a look. That, my friends, is a buck. So we do have bucks that live on the property and does. This is another predator. It's an aerial predator right here. We have hawks that will come in and they will take out the chickens. Now occasionally there's a black vultures that hang out on top of the barn. The black vultures are kind of scary because they're not opportunistic like those standard vultures on the side of the road. There's another one right there. The black vultures can and will, but knock on wood, have never done it on my property, can and will peck the eyes out of their prey. I'm trying to follow this guy. He's really maneuvering around. That's a pretty sight. Wow, there's 3 of them. Don't eat the yellow snow. That's all I gotta say. Don't eat the yellow snow. That's one of the other benefits to being out here in the middle of nowhere. But it is sad having 20 acres landlocked because there's no other way to drive in. Do I see something? Hold on. I see something orange. What is that right there? That is a no trespassing sign. Okay. The ideal plan with this back pasture, back property, would be to allow the goats to roam anywhere they wanted and have a beautiful nature trail. There's a heavy foot traffic right through here of some sort of animal. Again, it looks like a fox and deer. Lots of prints. Lots and lots of prints everywhere. There's a mixture of woods. There's natural springs on this hill. There's rocks up at the top of the hill, piles and piles of rocks. And so much wildlife. I'd like to take the dingo right on through here. And I'm not in the protected wetlands anymore. The wetlands ended over there. So our main problem is getting from A to B without getting muddy. Once we're here to B, could you imagine a very cool walking trail that goes up the hill, around the property, back down, and right on out? I think that would be amazing. Now, I'm going to show you one other thing. Right over here, I had planned on bringing the cows, Chuck, Uno, and Cinco, onto this back property. But I had planned to use just a single strand of wire. So I do have a couple thousand feet of this wire strung through the woods, up the hill, around the inner part of the pasture, and back down to the creek so they have drinking water. Obviously that never happened, half because I didn't think this is actually sufficient enough, and we didn't have the money to put up hard fence through this type of terrain. And then there's one other thing that bothers me. When you walk right over here to this tree, right here, there's a tree stand right there. And this tree stand says posted private property. Unfortunately, it says private property for somebody else's property, the neighbor. Now, when I stand there and I turn on my GPS and I look at my land markings on an aerial map, it shows that tree is on my property. But somebody else's tree stand is there and labeled. Now, I want to see if anything has changed. See, that is not me. That is not me. That is not my address or my name. Now I'm going to stand right here under the tree stand and I'm going to turn on my maps and we're going to see if this belongs to me or not. So you can see my property line right here in the shape of a Z almost, and you can see it looks like I'm standing directly on the line, but when we zoom in and I'm standing under the tree, you can clearly see that it lands on my property. But as you zoom out, it can be a little confusing. So whoever posted that tree stand maybe didn't have as accurate of a GPS as I have, or I could be completely wrong. So in the meantime, to avoid enemies, we're going to allow that to stay until we can afford some sort of survey on 36 acres. Now, of course, we put up our own signs right over here with our name and our address. So the main goal in getting all the animals back here, at least for the spring and summertime, would be food. All of this food. 20 plus acres of forage and field space, and that would save us tremendously on our feed bill. Now that's a big deer right there. Now, as you can see from these stalks right here, this was a cornfield. This was a cornfield, and I do expect possibly some corn to grow. But what else is growing is just some natural grasses and timothies. I'm not looking for anything particular because we're always going to keep the free choice hay out for them at the barn. But a lot of this can fill up their tummies. And goats are foragers, not grazers. The sheep, if we could get them back here, would love this stuff. The goats would spend a lot of time in the woods. And with Apollo here protecting them, I wouldn't see any problems. I've not seen any coyotes on this property, but we have seen them on the other property. Doesn't mean they're not here. It's just they're very good at hiding. I'm not going to walk all the way to the top of that hill right now. I just wanted to give you guys a little tour of the back side of the property on the other side of the wetlands, which is right here. So you see what we're working with and what kind of adventures we can come up with in the future. If money were no object, I would indeed put a fence on the property line all the way up and around, but with that rugged terrain and the 36 acres that we would have to fence in, it would be probably another mortgage, and I don't think that's what we want to do. But could you imagine how cool that would be to not have any worries at all, just to let them go and put up a deer fence? I think that would be really cool. Now, I've already started the process of looking into seeing what it would take to put a gravel road through here. Because there's farming access and they cannot deny you access to your own property, you are allowed to drive a tractor right on through here. But in order for me to put a gravel road down with a couple drainage pipes from left to right, or right to left, whichever way you want to look at it, the water flows from there and goes that direction, through a wetland, they charge $1,750 per tenth of an acre that you want to disturb the land. And that doesn't even account for the EPA and all of the other testings that they have to do to make sure you're not disturbing the bog turtles and some wild plants and whatnot. Look at that. I'm not sure which ones of these are Apollo prints, but I know there's plenty of deer prints. That's probably Apollo there. You see how big that paw print is right there? That's probably Apollo. Imagine him back here having so much fun because he smells absolutely every animal. Now that section over there is so swampy, if you were to walk in there, you would go knee deep into sludge. So that's not really a usable place for us. One day it'd be cool to have a boardwalk. You know, those wooden boardwalks right up above the marshlands, and you could see all sorts of nature. One of the most beautiful sights I've seen back here was this blue heron. And unfortunately, this blue heron has passed away on our property. And I don't know the cause of his perish. He does not look to be mangled up. Now, I called the department of the game commission this morning, and I asked the game commission, what should I do with it? I wanted to report that a blue heron had passed away on our property, and I still haven't got a call back. They have my name, they have my number, they have the property address. I let them know that it was a farm, and we have birds, and I don't think they were intermingling, but unfortunately, it's sad to see when something like that happens. But we did the right thing. We reported it, and I hope we see another blue heron around here again, because I've been enjoying watching that guy come down to the creek and drink. And you might be wondering what the heck this trailer is all about. Well, I have the trailer parked on the embankment on this side and the tongue of it on the embankment on this side, because it's illegal for me to technically build a bridge across the creek. Until somebody tells me otherwise, this was my clever bridge for the goats to get across, and it does work. It does indeed work. And as you can see, that over there is the ACA and the pasture space. This is the area that I allow the goats to go to in the spring and summertime. We still have that side of the property over there, which I think eventually would be great for the donkeys to give them more roaming space. We'll continue to allow the goats to go out here, but there is enough room over there for the donkeys to spread their wings and fly. And of course, there were some dead trees that I had to take down a couple months ago. And so those are just piled up right now. And right over here are a few trees that just kind of fell down across the creek. I don't know how that happened. Technically, just another way for the goats to cross on over. It is not illegal to allow my animals to graze inside of the wetlands. I have spoken to the Department of Conservation, and as long as they're not destroying the wetlands, wetlands are an acceptable place to allow your livestock to graze. My problem is goats absolutely despise water, so it makes it very difficult. Well, I just got a call from my wife. It's time for me to go recover the merch trailer over at the other property. She has some shirts, hats, and other merchandise that needs to be sent off to you guys. So I'm gonna head on over there, bring the merch trailer back so she can pull what she needs. So I hope you enjoyed today's little video and little tour of the property. I hope you guys continue watching to see what we make of this place. It's a very cool historical property. That right there was built in 1736. This is the original homestead right here. And when we bought the place, I was told that this tree was about 300 years old as well. And I like to think the man who came down here and built this cabin, Christian Kinsey, I like to think that he built or planted this tree, and it's still here 300 years later. Whoa. Drop the camera in my face. Until next time, guys, I will see you later.
Join the show just after 7. Watch us in our animal heaven. Wake up with goats and chicks. Come feed the cows all their grain mix. Join the show just after 7. Take a head count, 9, 10, 11. With the crew, come take a pic. Just watch for the cows 'cause they might kick.